So let's talk a little more about the draft withdrawal agreement agreed between London and Brussels, which sets out exactly how Britain would leave the EU, but crucially, it doesn't deal with the long-term future relationship. Now, the withdrawal agreement puts in place a transition period of 20 months after Brexit, maybe longer, during which the UK would continue to abide by all EU laws. But during that period, the UK would not have a say on new laws being created. After the transition period, the UK could then end the free movement of people from the EU and make its own laws in areas like fishing and agriculture. One of the biggest sticking points, as we know, has been the so-called backstop. What would happen if there was no free trade deal to ensure no checks on the Irish border? The UK and EU would enter into a single customs territory, but Northern Ireland would have to stick closer to EU rules. And critics say it would create an internal border within the UK and would make it impossible to sign new trade deals. But both sides are committed to seeking a new free trade agreement that the government hopes will ensure that the backstop is never actually needed. The UK has agreed to pay the EU around £39 billion to settle outstanding commitments, the so-called divorce bill. But many Brexit supporters worry that the UK has agreed a large bill without guarantees about that future relationship. Business leaders at the CBI today largely welcomed the Prime Minister's plans, although some are concerned about proposed changes to immigration policy after Brexit. Our business editor, Simon Jack, has more details.
Rex London sells over £6 million worth of gifts to EU customers every year, which is why company directors' main worry is leaving the single market without a deal, something they continue to plan for.
We certainly have to think about the worst. We won't stop thinking about that until a deal is confirmed. Really, all we need is everyone to get around and hammer out a deal here one way or the other, because the worst thing that can happen is no one agrees and we crash out of the EU with no deal at all in a few months' time.
Big business largely agrees. Across town at the CBI's annual conference, delegates gave the Prime Minister's deal a reasonably warm welcome.
I think the choice in front of us as business people is that we have a deal on the table and we're being asked, can we support it? Can we invest as a result of it? Can we use this deal to plan for the future and make Britain a success? I think we can, and that's why I support it.
Of course, businesses, however big, cannot vote. But MPs can, which is why the president of the CBI, John Allen, urged them to consult with the businesses and firms in their constituencies before making up their mind how to vote when this deal gets to the Commons. The Prime Minister proudly told the audience she'd put an end to freedom of movement once and for all and would make it harder to hire anyone from abroad making less than £30,000. If she thought that would go down well, she came to the wrong conference.
We have a real difference with government on immigration. They may be listening to business, but they're not hearing. It is reasonable to want to control immigration. Business understands that. But the idea of doing it in this way, which closes down access to workers where our construction businesses need them, our healthcare providers need them, would do real damage to our economy.
Business Secretary Greg Clark said the government had heard those concerns.
What we need to do when we set out the proposals in a white paper to come, but it'll be our white paper, is to make sure that we can allow public services and businesses to continue to count on that labour in the future. But it'll be our choice.
Back in West London, they're not taking any chances. This firm has already opened warehouses in the EU and their contingency planning continues. Not all businesses support Mrs May's deal. A few would like the clean break of no deal. Others want a second referendum. All agree this deal is a long way from being delivered, with just 19 weeks till the date we leave. Simon Jack, BBC News.